So today we'll be covering two upcoming ships, the Tier 6 cruisers Elli and Dupleix. In 12.7, the community with Fight for the choice of either ship to become the reward for the paid battle pass in 12.8. So the patch after this one coming up, the 12.7. Now the winner will become the battle pass reward, while the other ship will likely be released later at an undisclosed date, or sent to permanent gulag like the Brisbane. May God have mercy on her soul. During 12.7, you can choose which ship you want to support to make as the Battle Pass reward in 12.8 in a variety of ways of earning the temporary resource. They will also be introducing exclusive community contributor drops on Twitch for this resource in 12.7. So by watching me on Twitch, since I am a community contributor for World of Warships, along with I stream daily starting around 2:30 p.m. EST each day on Twitch. You'll also be able to watch my fellow CCs as well to get the drops. So as well as getting the drops, you'll be able to help support the ship you decide to choose, along with supporting the CC or the CCs you decide to watch for those particular drops. I will be showcasing both ships in this video, so you can decide which ship to vote for in 12.7. The video will be split into two parts, where I'll be focusing on the Elli first, and then I'll be talking about the Dupleix after. Of course, the video is timestamped, so you're able to watch whatever ship you prefer to get info on, or if you just want my final conclusion on which ship I prefer, you can just jump to those whenever you like. As a side note, during both these replays, there is a replay bug that shows the rudder position is off, so don't mind that whenever you do see it. Let's start with the Tier 6 EU light cruiser, the Elli. The build will be shown on the top right. In 1933, Elli was laid down as the Italian Condottiere class light cruiser Eugenio di Sovia, being commissioned into the Italian Navy at the start of 1936. She would see her combat debut in 1937, bombarding Republican Spain positions during the Spanish Civil War. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. During World War II, she would be participated in numerous battles, including Operation Harpoon, where she crippled a British DD. After the 1943 armistice, she would be used as a training ship for the rest of the war. Eventually, she would be transferred to Greece in 1950 as a war reparation and renamed Elli. She served in the Hellenic fleet until her decommissioning in 1965, being repurposed as a naval prison ship before being scrapped in 1973. In game, the Elli is a fast, fragile light cruiser with quick firing guns. In fact, Elli has the fastest base speed of any Tier 6 cruiser, clocking in at a blazing 37.7 knots, which is incredibly quick. Only Ds and cruisers with speed boosts can match her speed. You can definitely use this to your advantage in being able to help farm down cruisers and BBs alike. With this speed, you can also run down some DDs as well, which is why I recommended the radio location skill to help you hunt them down. Her DPM is also respectable for a light cruiser, but her floaty shells definitely holds her back in this regard. Her dispersion will be shown on the top right. I would recommend aiming a little higher with her, since her shells are pretty floaty, to make sure you hit your target at longer distances. When you are closer range, of course, you can aim normally, but outside of about 9 to 10 kilometers, you definitely want to aim higher so those floaty shells hit their mark. Unfortunately, mid-tier light cruisers have a tendency to explode, and Elli is no exception. The armor will be shown on the top right. Be careful not to show sides, or other cruisers will make short work of you, along with battleships could definitely dev strike you and citadel you as well if you're not careful. The rest of her armament is also weak. Her torpedoes deal little damage. Her anti-air poses little threat to planes, but with DFAA, it does make it somewhat effective against Tier 6 CVs, but with Tier 8s, you're still screwed. Now with the ASW, you get the rear ASW, so submarines can almost ignore her depth charges if she can get close enough in the first place. Now with her speed and RPF, she is able to kind of hunt down submarines, but again, if you're rushing a submarine bow in, you're gonna have a likely chance they'll just try to shotgun you, so definitely be aware of that and be careful of that. Now, overall, I didn't like playing the Elli. Her shells didn't feel good to use at all, but her speed and maneuverability also helped turn this around as well. It made it it made it a lot of fun to be able to use the maneuverability and the dodging potential for sure. With, as you guys can see throughout this match, I've been doing a lot of maneuvering, a lot of dodging, wiggling, and the speed throttle juking with the Elli. And the Elli is also the first EU light cruiser, so I'm interested to see how. Well, since it's normally a trend in World of Warships where if they have a first premium of a line, of a particular line, normally they'll have a line coming out in the future. So it'd be pretty cool to see what the line is going to look like for this particular for the EU cruiser. I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. But outside of her top speed and reload speed, I definitely had issues with her shells being super lofty. It does make a lot more effort into it, and it's a lot harder to be able to get those good shots or the farming off. Now, if you're able to kite away and then he's pushing you, you'll do fantastically well with the Elli. But if you're having to chase them down or run them down, the floaty shells can definitely be a huge hindrance due to the fact you have such a long air time and you have to get even closer due to that. So just be wary of that if you do decide to do the Elli. Interesting note though that you do get the hydro with the DCP and the DFAA. It's pretty nice that the ship does get that, but again, the DFAA is good for tier 6 CVs, but for tier 8 CVs, yeah, you're pretty much out of luck on that one. So it's kind of a disaster. So for those of this match, I pretty much am just trying to push back in, being able to farm the targets, trying to do anything I can with that. Farming, just having fun with that, you know, the good old times. Just the good old times. Also, if you can see right now, the rudder shifting is just showing super far. Like it's saying it's on max to the starboard for some reason, but that's the bug I was talking about earlier. One thing to note also about the Elli, it does have nice concealment as well for a tier 6 cruiser. It does have a pretty nice concealment of 10.3, so the ship is pretty much super maneuverable, has a good concealment, and has a decent it's pretty much meant to, like, the guns are pretty much decent good to middle range. So if you start going long range, they're definitely extremely painful. But I mostly would say definitely focus more on HE on the Elli for if you're trying to overall like use her more as like a fire starter. You can definitely set a lot of fires with the guns, get that nice HE build going. In my build, I did have the HE skill picked, since you do have like 8-second reload and you have 8 guns, so it is pretty nice to be able to get those fires and you get that nice, you know, toasty, get those nice toasty marshmallows going. It's really nice to really get those nice marshmallows going, you know. It's pretty nice. Yeah. As you also see, this match was pretty much a blowout. Over on the flank that I was on, we were able to kill off their DD pretty early, which forced a lot of their battleships and cruisers just to stay back. I'm not particularly sure why though, because once our DD was dead and theirs was dead, they didn't really have to worry about torpedoes too much. But I would just say it's more of just a lack of experience from them on why they were sitting so far back, or they just didn't want to get farmed. I don't know. Sometimes you get good matchmaking or you get bad, or this one in particular, they were just overly really passive. They weren't in a div either. A lot of the times if I see an overly passive side, usually I would say, oh, maybe they're in a div and that'd be why. But no, they were just all very passive over on my flank for some reason. Not too sure why, but it is what it is. Sometimes the enemy's super aggressive, sometimes they're not. It really just depends on the day. If I remember correctly, I think I played these ships on I was playing these ships on stream. The NDA is already off whenever it was on stream, so I was playing them on stream, talking to my community about the ships. If you guys were there during that, try to let me know which day it was. I don't particularly remember. I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday of last week, whenever that was. You guys can let me know down in the comments. for that in particular. Now at this point they are starting to come back in, but as you can see, I'm in a nice kiting position, which is very, very nice. A nice kiting position here, being able to get all my guns off, being able to fire at them, getting those nice, or trying to hit my shots at this distance. I'm just gonna say for this particular match, my aim was definitely off. I was definitely not used to the Elli in this particular match, so I'm gonna say it's a skill issue on why most of my shots aren't hitting. So I'm gonna call a skill issue on my part. Again, and I also did say before that the floaty shells does make it a little bit more difficult. So if you aren't used to the floaty shells, you definitely have issues with that. So it is kind of a disaster for that, for sure. But yeah, pretty much the after the New York is down, the match is already decided at this point. It's already done at this point. It's already over. So yeah, it's kind of a disaster there. Ooh, and maybe I can get a fire on a Thuso there, maybe. There we go. That's nice and toasty. Nice toasty fires. Yeah, nice and toasty. Yeah, nice and toasty. Super toasty fires. Yeah. Hold them fires, yeah. And the match is on its last legs. And the match is now over. Very nice. Very nice victory. Very nice blowout. Yes, very nice. Very nice. So I got 72k damage, 3 kills, 9 fires with 154 hits. Sounds about right. I was top of the team with 1712 base XP. Super nice for a tier 6 cruiser. Pretty nice damage overall for a tier 6 cruiser. It's pretty decent. All right, so with that out of the way, now we'll be talking about the Dupleix. So like I was saying before, I prefer the French light cruiser not the light. I prefer the French heavy cruiser, the Dupleix, over the Elli. So let's talk about the Dupleix. Now her build will be shown on the top right. Dupleix was the 4th ship of the Suffren class, entering service with the French Navy in 1933. She would briefly participate in convoy escort and short bombardments before the French armistice was signed in 1940, falling under control of the Vichy French. Dupleix was scuttled along with the majority of the French fleet at Toulon. While the Italians refloated her in 1943, the US would resink her with bombers in 1944. Ultimately, she'd be scrapped on site in 1951. In the game, the Dupleix is a French heavy cruiser, similar to the TAC tree equivalent Algerie at tier 7. Dupleix is notably more tanky with higher speed, but has a relatively long reload time of 15 seconds. And when I say tanky, I mean just slightly more. And the armor will be shown on the top right. She will still die if a BB looks at her funny. Dodging will be your main method of avoiding damage. Pretty much all tier 6 cruisers. All tier 6 cruisers, except for I think maybe like the Grass Bay, all of them are pretty much, a BB looks at you, you're going to take damage. The Grass Bay does have somewhat okay it has pretty much one of the best armors for tier 6 cruisers, so that's why it was one of the better, or was one of the main picks for clan battles whenever it was tier 6 battle season. Now she has a good top speed and has a 4-minute speed boost if you use the build that I use. The speed boost also helps with the acceleration a bit, but not the deacceleration, so if you're going to throttle juke, be aware of that. You can also use the rudder juking as well on the Tokyo, the drift style. Now, the MBRB is helpful, but not enough to offset her poor DPM. Now, with this reload booster, I would definitely recommend using this to set permafires on ships by setting a fire, and then if they DCP, wait for the DCP to end, and then slap that reload booster and get them permafires. You can also use the reload booster to slap broadside cruisers to get them sweet old citadels. It's always nice to see them sweet citadels. The dispersion will be shown on the top right. I would say for aiming, you can aim at about normal for French cruisers with her HE, can pen most of all cruisers' hulls to do damage, and her AP is also strong as well. For HE, if you're aiming at battleships, would definitely aim higher to hit the superstructures at the midsection. That being said, Dupleix shells are much faster, so she'll reliably hit more maneuverable targets. She also gets respectable torpedoes with the good damage, assuming she doesn't explode during the charge. The Dupleix AntiAir isn't much to speak of with a 4.6 kilometer range, and you do get a fighter which will deter lower skill CV players, but with higher skill CVs, you'll still find ways to attack and ignore the fighters. With ASW, you do get aerial ASW, which is super nice for a tier 6 cruiser. As you can see during this particular match with that 4-minute speed boost, I'm able to just run in, use that smoke, and just start trying to hit this DD here, along with that battleship being there. I was pretty surprised the battleship really didn't focus me too much. It's kind of why I showed him so much broadside. He was focusing more on the enemy cruiser that was beside me. As you can see, also I'm using the reload booster as well to try to whittle down this DD really quick. I wanted to get him killed as fast as possible to be able to focus on the battleship, because I knew that once my cruiser's dead, I would be next on the menu. Which, yeah, I don't want to die, so I don't want to die today. I don't really want to die, so I'd rather just focus the D down first, then focus the battleship, and then move on to whatever else. I did try to use the AP here, and it did do an okay amount of damage with the overpins and pins. It did an alright amount of damage. If you're using the AP on this particular, the Dupleix, make sure that if you're going to aim for like the bow or the aft to be able to get that pin damage, and you don't ricochet or non-pin the middle section of battleships, because battleships do have a pretty thick midsection. The Dupleix guns aren't always able to go through the midsection of battleships, but of course, if you're shooting a cruiser, the AP, definitely Citadel cruisers on this ship, they definitely can. 100% for sure, they can. I love using AP on this ship against cruisers that are pushing at you or a little bit too close. You can definitely punish them for all they're worth, and it's just so much fun to do that. I just love it. It's just amazing. I just love it. I love it so much. Now, overall, I would definitely recommend the Dupleix over the Elli due to easier use of the Dupleix over the Elli. The lofty shells of the Elli definitely makes it harder to use the Elli over long distances, while the Dupleix shells are still decent at long distance as one of the main factors into that. The Elli is very maneuverable, and I'm trying to think of my wording here. The reload is okay and it's a nice fire starter, but the Dupleix overall, with the heavier shells and the quicker, and it's also the quicker, I'm trying to figure out here. They're less lofty shells, like the shell velocity is quicker. It makes the Dupleix a lot easier to use, and you're able to do a lot more versatility in what you damage or what you use to your damage on, compared to the Elli, where the Elli is more of an HE thrower. I can't really use AP too much. The Dupleix can use AP and HE alike and has better torpedoes than compared to the Elli. So overall, I would say the Dupleix is definitely more worth being in the upcoming 12.8 Battle Pass reward. So I'll be voting for the Dupleix rather than the Elli. But you guys can also pick whichever ships you want. If you guys are more a fan of the Elli, you guys can pick the Elli. Or if you want the Dupleix being in it, you guys can pick that one as well. Some people don't want another French cruiser premium in the game. They'd rather have the Elli, since it is the first EU cruiser for the EU lines. A lot of people would rather have the EU cruiser, being since it is the first EU cruiser for the EU line area. It'd be a nice crew trainer. Usually how World of Warships works is anytime they introduce a premium or some kind of premium in a new area, like they did for the Spanish, they did it for there. Normally that indicates there's going to be some kind of new line going in that area sooner or later. So a lot of people are like, oh, if the Elli is going to be coming in the game, then most likely there's going to be some kind of EU line coming in the game, like a cruiser line or a BB line or something like that. They want to have a nice crew trainer for that. So that could be a really nice crew trainer for the EU. So a lot of people are like, hey, instead of getting like another French cruiser like the Dupleix, why don't we get why don't we get the first premium EU cruiser as the award, so that we're able to get a nice crew trainer for an upcoming line if there does one that comes out. So there's an argument on both sides. At the same time as well, I don't think the Elli is an overall bad ship. I'm just not a super big fan of the floaty shells, and it's not as versatile as compared to the Dupleix. The Dupleix has a lot more versatility in the shells, with the reload booster, even with the fighter, and it also has a speed boost as well. And it also has aerial ASW, which I'm way more a fan of than the rear ASW on the Elli. The Elli step charges are also pretty pathetic if being on the rear and you get like 2 charges for them. It's like pretty sad. You get like no depth charges on them. It's completely horrible. So I'm way more of a fan of the Dupleix, one with the aerial depth charges. It has a very nice maneuverability with the speed boost. Elli is still quicker than, wait, is it quicker? Nope. So Dupleix is quicker with the speed boost. Without the speed boost though, Elli is still quicker. But with the speed boost, Dupleix is quicker than the Elli. So we know that for now. The fighter is nice for the Dupleix, but again, higher skilled level CV players are going to know too. They can kind of just get their first attack off, F key. They're still going to get an attack off, but they're not going to do as much damage as say would like if you didn't have a fighter. The Elli does have DFAA, which is nice for tier 6 CVs, but for tier 8 CVs, they're still going to just completely hammer you. You're still super screwed in that regard. Super big pain. It's the biggest disaster ever. All the pain and the suffering. Ouch, that didn't feel too good. Not feel too good at all, man. Not at all. Biggest disaster ever, man. Look at that man burn. He just burning all them fires. I was trying to get 4 fires on this guy, but unfortunately I couldn't get that fire on the rear. I did try though. Super close though. Super close for sure, but oh well. It is what it is. Blah. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm using the HE and AP to farm down these battles, which is super nice. I did try using the AP on the battleship as well, which I think it did pretty well. It did pretty nice. This match was definitely a super impressive match. The Dupleix as well have over 100-something-thousand damage at this point, which is super nice. The damage output on these guns are a lot higher, also because of the 15-second reload, which makes it where, yeah, you're gonna do higher damage with the 15-second reload guns, duh. You also have that reload booster, which is really nice to get those perma fires, or like you're trying to get those citadel damage. It's like really nice. It's super effective to time it. So if they say you set 1 or 2 fires, right? They DCP. You can either wait for their DC to be done, or you can keep shooting them, and then when the DC is done, you then pop the reload booster and you just get those perma fires. And it's just free damage at that point, because they can't DCP and they're just going to keep, ticking, because, they have the health. And once they're done with, once they're dead, then there you go, they're dead. So you just get free damage. So it's one of the best ways to get pretty much damage in this game, is pretty much you wait for them to DCP. You get a fire. You can either let that fire burn, shoot at somebody else with that fire burns. And if they DCP, go right back to them, get another perma fire on them, and just damage them. Great damage. It's super effective as well. It's super effective. It's one of the best strategies if you're trying to get damage or farm damage. One of the best things to do is get one. So there's multiple ships coming near, or you're seeing multiple ships. You're able to see multiple ships. You get a fire on one. You aim at a different ship to get different fires on different ships to get the damage higher per like the fire ticking going. If one of those ships DCPs, you then go back to the ship that DCP'd, get another perma fire on that ship, and then you go back and you keep getting more fires as that fire burns. Or you just keep farming HE damage or AP damage, whichever, or it's a really nice strategy overall to be able to do that. So it's super nice for sure. But anyway, again, you will be able to fight for the choice of either ship to come award for the bait Battle Pass at 12.8 and the winner of the Battle Pass award, while the other ship will likely be released at a later date. And again, there will be community contributor drops for World of Warships. You'll give them from my channel in the upcoming 12.7 patch. I'm not sure exactly which day, but it should be in the upcoming the 12.7 patch, so you guys can enjoy that whenever they do release that. But yep, if you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely leave them in the comments down below. Again, this match was a pretty impressive match. 115,000 damage, 4 kills. I was second on the team, which is super nice as well. But yep, I will talk to you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for being here and supporting the community, the channel, and I'll see you guys around. All right. Blah!